To start off with, again, we've proven that we can reduce the staff and still give you the services and being as efficient as possibly as we can. Have we cut too much? You know, in some areas, ladies and gentlemen, there's that good possibility. You will have a diminishing return after a while on the services that you require that we may not be able to give you. So looking at staff reductions at this point is going to be a little more difficult. But we are still looking at those consolidations of departments, those strong business principles at 35 years of business that I have, to bring those principles to government and make it more efficient and give you the greatest bang for your buck. But where we are looking are in other areas. If you look at the budget sessions we've had so far, there have been 8 points that have been brought to the county commission to look for reductions. 4 of those points were suggestions that I have made using those business principles to bring down the cost, bring up efficiencies, and give you that bang for your buck.
Thank you, John. Jason, do you need me to read it again?
Staff levels?
Huh?
It's about staff levels. How much staff, how many cuts is too much? That depends on the department. That depends on what the mission is of that department. We only maintain enough staff to accomplish the goal and nothing more. After that, we have to balance it out with how much can you afford. Right now, last year, even though we have 5 Republican members on our county commission, last year we raised the millage rate. If Rich Nugent went to Washington and suggested that we raise taxes, there would be a firestorm, and we all know that. And we hold Rich accountable, and thankfully he has not done so. And I don't think he ever will. We have to maintain that same Republican principle back home. There are so many places that we can cut in the budget. We have a $450 million budget. We only talk about the general fund. But let's not forget that our 5 county commissioners are responsible and sign off on and approve every year the entire budget, not just the general fund. We've been going through various elements of the budget, and I'm going to give you one small example. This should just let you know how easy it is. Utilities, in one line item, wants 3 metal detectors at $9,000. Now let me tell you folks, I'm a metal detector enthusiast. I'm that old guy that walks on the beach with really high socks. The most expensive metal detector I could possibly purchase is $1,400. We can do better. We need to have our county commissioners sit down with our department heads and go through line by line. That's what the workshop season is supposed to be about. And we can get there. I have utmost in confidence. $7.1 million deficit right now, no problem.
Truth and honesty. For anybody that knows what's happened in the last time, I don't have to agree with the administrator all the time. We've hired him to do a job. And I should step out of his way to let him do that job. But the day he withholds information, the day he lies to us, or the day he lies to you, the public, at a public meeting, it's time for that gentleman to leave. It's too new right now, but I believe Mr. Sossaman will be very great for this county. He has already looked at some issues with economic development that are very substantial that he's been involved with before. He is now going over line items with the budget director. We are looking at mandates that we have from the state and making sure that we're doing the minimum that we're supposed to do in the mandates. I will hold him accountable by being honest, being upfront, and presenting us with ways to make Hernando County a better place to live.
Holding the county administrator accountable, that's easy. You hold him accountable. We all hold him accountable. We know what his job is supposed to be. If he's not doing his job, then we get rid of him. It's that simple. We don't have time to play around. We've played around with previous county administrators, and we've continued to watch the economy decline. We've continued to watch the county services decline. Now, for the first time in the last 4 years, Hernando County has a unionized workforce. Unionized. Here in Hernando County. Jimmy Hoffa came to Hernando County, and that's what we got. Now, why does the union exist? The union exists because management failed. Whether it's a private sector industry or a public sector industry, a union is formed when the employees feel like they're getting the shaft. We need to fix that. We don't need to get rid of the unions ourselves. We need to show the employees in this county that we do care. They are doing a good job. And to go back on a point, okay? The budget that was passed last year, this is data from the Office of Management and Budget in Hernando County. The budget for this fiscal year does not yet exist. It will not exist until later this year. The only data that we can go off of is the budget. And last year, the budget that was $420,268,927. That was the budget. Last year, 2011, that was approved. That budget is what we're living in right now. We won't have a change in that budget until later on this year. I'm not a fan of code enforcement. I understand its necessity. I think code enforcement should always be reactive. And I also think that we need to go through and get rid of a lot of the codes that are blocking business and development. We've got some nonsensical things going around. I talk to engineers, I talk to developers, I talk to real estate agents. Some of the nonsense that we put builders through in this town is insane. They're building in other counties because it's impossible to build here. Now, several years ago, a committee was put together to actually sit down, go through the ordinance package and the codes in this town, and get rid of the nonsense. That committee was shut down because they ended up creating more ordinances than they started with. That's the wrong approach. I have a very simple message on my campaign. It is the foundation of our party, and it is the foundation of this republic. More liberty, less government. With every decision that I make, I promise you, I will always err on the side of freedom before I err on the side of government. We have got to unleash the potential back in this country that gave us the light bulb, that gave us the telephone, that gave us the internet. We have to unleash that potential. It's in this room. And we can't do that by constantly running around like a nanny state and telling people to stop doing because we don't like it.
Code enforcement, a necessary evil. Anybody that has been out there and has a neighbor that is doing something, let me tell you, anytime you want to answer my phone in the county office on the complaints that come in about code violations, please do. But let's go to ordinances. Yes, I'm against getting rid of as many as possible. And if Mr. Sager was watching the meeting, one of the suggestions I made at that last board meeting, again to staff, was they must go and get rid of the ordinance that are enforceable and just do not make sense anymore. Something we need to look at very strongly. We talk about codes that are keeping business out of this county. You know, there are some things that don't work well, but over 300,000 square feet of new building space in Hernando County with over 500 new jobs in the last 3 years. Businesses that the commissioner or I have just signed on 3 new leases for the airport from people that have come from Pasco County because they can't stand what's happening in Pasco County. Chasco Machinery, one of the biggest. So they are coming to Hernando County. We do have some problems in the code and building. I'm not saying we don't. But so does every other county, and I can show you the folks that do come here. Do we need code enforcement? I can look at the sheriff, and I can look at the former sheriff back there, and I asked them at one time, would you guys ever consider doing it? And they both drew their guns and said, get away from me. It's a tough job. It's a tough job. There are some codes that need to be enforced. There are some that aren't. We have given direction to our board to get, from the board, to get rid of a lot of them. Thank you.